Imagine a glittering evening in New York at the dawn of the 2002nd. On the radiant runway of the Victoria's Secret fashion show, under blinding lights and the thunder of music, a tall, slender blonde girl with a luminous face stepped out. The audience seemed to hold their breath. They called her the Flawless Angel. But few knew that beneath those magnificent wings, she carried a secret that would astonish the entire fashion world. Karolína Kurková, the model from the Czech Republic once hailed as a perfect catwalk machine, became an unmissable phenomenon in the early 2002. She was praised for her confidence, her endless legs, and a presence so magnetic that even the most demanding photographers fell under her spell. Yet behind that dazzling glory lay another story, one of sacrifice, physical struggles, and the merciless pressure of an industry that tolerated no weakness. The question arises, how could a girl from a small Eastern European town, carrying a flaw that seemed impossible to hide, transform into the ultimate symbol of global perfection? And when the spotlight dimmed, what remained behind those angel wings? This was not just the tale of another runway queen, but a narrative that exposed both the brilliance and the fragility of a woman who dared to stand at the center of the storm. A story that reminds us why the legends of the 90s Supermodels and the hidden truths within the dark side of fashion continue to fascinate the world. Karolína Kurková was born on February 28, 1984, in Děčín, a small town in northern Czech Republic, where the Elbe River winds between stark limestone mountains. It was not the kind of place anyone would associate with the glamour of Vogue covers or the glitz of Milan Fashion Week. Her father was a basketball coach who instilled in her a sense of discipline and resilience. Her mother, a gentle homemaker, gave her warmth and quiet strength. Her childhood was far from glamorous. From her earliest school years, Karolína realized she was different. Tall and lanky, she often towered over her classmates. Her appearance made her a target for teasing. Giraffe, walking stick, the cruel nicknames followed her in the schoolyard. Yet instead of breaking her, those words hardened her. She learned to turn pain into armor. Her bright blue eyes sometimes brimmed with tears, but deep inside was a stubborn refusal to bow her head. What few people knew was that Karolína was born with a rare condition. She had virtually no navel, the result of a surgery immediately after birth. In a world obsessed with bodily perfection, it could have been a devastating secret, but Karolína carried it with unusual courage. Later, when the fashion industry discovered it, that imperfection became part of her myth, the angel with no belly button, a living paradox of flaw and perfection intertwined. As a teenager, she never dreamed of becoming a model. She thought about medicine or a safe profession like her parents wished. Yet as she grew older, her features sharpened into something extraordinary. Impossibly long legs, a symmetrical frame, and a face that blended timeless European elegance with modern freshness. Friends of her mother whispered, "This girl looks like a model." Her parents were hesitant. Her father, practical and cautious, urged her to think of stability, not catwalks. But Karolína was restless. In her quiet town of Děčín, afternoons spent by the Elbe River often turned into daydreams of distant cities shimmering with lights. She longed to break free. That hunger to escape her small-town limits became the silent fire that would propel her forward. Looking back, her childhood was a paradox of normality and difference. She was just another girl in a modest household, yet carried within her body and spirit something unusual. She was teased, but she stood tall. She bore a physical flaw, but turned it into legend. Those early years shaped the resilience, the luminous strength, that would later define her presence on the runway. In many ways, the story of Karolína begins not with glamour, but with a quiet, underestimated childhood where the seeds of greatness were already being sown. The turning point in Karolína Kurková's life came unexpectedly, as if destiny had quietly tapped her shoulder. At just 15, encouraged by friends, She sent a few casual snapshots to a small modeling agency in Prague. At the time, she had no faith in the distant dream called the runway. For a teenager from the town of Děčín, it was nothing more than an experiment, a way to escape the dull rhythm of daily life. But only weeks later, a reply arrived that would change everything. She was invited to a casting in Prague. That day, she entered a cramped room lit by cold fluorescent lights, surrounded by dozens of other girls nervously waiting. Wearing a simple dress, with barely any makeup, she hardly expected to stand out. Yet the moment the panel saw her, something shifted. A photographer studied her closely, then whispered, "You have something different, an energy the camera will love." Those words etched themselves into her memory, an omen of a future no one could have predicted. Her parents were far from supportive at first. Her father argued that modeling was full of temptations, instability, and potential harm. But Karolína was determined. She pleaded, reasoned, and her mother, noticing the spark in her daughter's eyes, finally gave her blessing. That decision opened a hidden door, leading Karolína into a world infinitely larger than her hometown. The opportunities came faster than she could imagine. By 16, she had signed her first contract with a management company in Milan. For the first time, she left home, stepping into the frenetic capital of fashion. The early days were brutal, crowded subway rides, a language she didn't understand, nights crying alone in a cramped apartment. Yet every time she faced a camera, the fear vanished. The lens seemed to fall in love with her. Then came the defining moment, an invitation to shoot for Vogue Italia. For any aspiring model, it was the ultimate dream. For Karolína, it happened almost too soon. When her photos appeared in the prestigious magazine, the fashion world instantly memorized her name. Talent scouts in New York quickly took notice, and within a year, the girl from Děčín was standing in the heart of the American fashion capital. Looking back, her first break was not merely luck. It was the convergence of natural grace, the steel forged from years of childhood teasing, and the relentless hunger to escape her small town. If she had never dared to mail those casual photos, the world might never have witnessed one of the brightest figures to walk the runway. Karolína's first opportunity was not just an entry into modeling, it was the beginning of a legend. By the early 2002, the name Karolína Kurková was impossible to ignore. She began to dominate the world's most prestigious runways and magazine covers. What started in Europe quickly expanded to New York, the very heart of high fashion and the home of legendary 90s supermodels. Soon, houses like Versace, Prada, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton were calling her. With just a few graceful strides down the catwalk, she could hold the audience in rapture, while photographers scrambled to capture every angle. Her true explosion came when Karolína was chosen as one of the coveted Victoria's Secret angels. On a stage broadcast to millions, she appeared with towering wings strapped to her back, walking with the confidence of a goddess. That image spread across newspapers and television screens, carving her into the collective memory of an entire generation. People declared her the perfect angel, the face that Victoria's Secret could not exist without. But it wasn't only her beauty that captivated the industry. Karolína was admired for her professionalism and her unshakable spirit. She was not simply a mannequin for clothes, but a presence, a muse. Karl Lagerfeld praised her as one of the most modern faces I have ever encountered. Donatella Versace called her the Queen of Elegance, with a daring edge. Her success stretched far beyond the runway. She graced the covers of Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle. Each cover revealed a different facet of her, icy and mysterious in one, radiant and full of life in another. This chameleon-like ability made her invaluable, a model who could be reinvented endlessly yet always remain unmistakably herself. Her collaborations with legendary photographers like Mario Testino, Steven Meisel, and Peter Lindbergh sealed her place in fashion history. Through their lenses, She appeared both fragile and powerful, both human and almost unreal. These photographs were more than advertising, they became cultural artifacts, cementing her image as an icon. For the Czech Republic, Karolína became a national treasure. In a country rarely associated with high fashion, she was celebrated as proof that a girl from a quiet town could ascend to global glory. At home, she was hailed as the nation's jewel, while the international press compared her to the greats of the 90s Supermodels era. The peak of her career was like a cinematic reel, blinding lights, roaring crowds, and the unforgettable silhouette of Karolína standing tall at center stage, a testament to resilience and ambition. But as with every star that burns bright, the shadows were always waiting at the edges. The same industry that had lifted her to unimaginable heights was also the one that would test her limits, revealing the darker truths behind the glamour, reminding us all of the unrelenting pull of the dark side of fashion. If Part 4 showed Karolína Kurková as a dazzling supermodel on the world's grandest runways, then Part 5 reveals why she rose beyond the title of commercial model to become a true cultural icon. The first reason lay in her most unusual story, the angel with no belly button. In an industry that worships absolute perfection, Karolína's willingness to appear before millions with a body unlike anyone else's was an act of defiance. Rather than concealing her congenital difference, she embraced it, turning what could have been a source of shame into a signature. It sparked fascination, but also admiration. People saw in her the courage to redefine beauty, to show that imperfection could be legendary. Her integrity also set her apart. She was selective, turning down lucrative contracts if they conflicted with her values. One high-paying offer proposed a campaign critics deemed excessively sexualized, yet Karolína declined. For her, preserving her image as both strong and aspirational mattered more than money. This integrity earned her respect from designers, colleagues, and the media. She was not a mere clothes hanger, but a voice, an individual with a perspective. In interviews, Karolína spoke candidly about mental health, the punishing demands of modeling, and the importance of young models learning to love their bodies instead of chasing impossible standards. Her influence stretched far beyond fashion shows. Karolína became a UNICEF ambassador and devoted herself to humanitarian causes, supporting disadvantaged children and war victims. On red carpets, she was not only a woman in a dazzling gown, but a figure delivering messages of compassion. This widened her legacy, making her not just a supermodel but a role model. Even in lifestyle, she stood out. While others in the industry indulged in endless parties and chaos, Karolína chose balance. She valued family, close friends, and eventually her husband and children. Her clean, grounded way of life extended her career in an industry infamous for rapid turnover. It was no accident that the press often called her a worthy successor to the golden age of the 90s supermodels. She had the beauty, the professionalism, and above all, the independence to chart her own path. Karolína did not let the industry dictate every choice. She knew when to say yes, and more importantly, when to say no. Her story proved that a supermodel's power is not only in her looks, but in the decisions she makes and the values she defends. This is what made Karolína Kurková unforgettable. Not just her strut down the runway, but her refusal to compromise her identity, even when the entire world was watching. The runway lights always shine bright, but behind them lies a world of relentless cruelty. Even Karolína Kurková, hailed as the perfect angel, could not escape the cracks in her career. The first challenge was physical exhaustion. With an unforgiving schedule, her body often reached breaking points. She once fainted backstage after days of restricting food to maintain her figure, a secret known only to a few close friends. When rumors of this incident surfaced, the media posed the haunting question: are supermodels paying too high a price for perfection? Then came a storm of criticism around her weight. During a 2008 fashion show, unflattering camera angles made her appear fuller than usual. Tabloids wasted no time dubbing her the Fat Angel. Health experts defended her, pointing out that lighting and clothing had distorted the images. Yet the damage was done. The cruelty of the press cut deep, leaving scars not easily healed. Karolína responded by affirming that health mattered more than chasing unrealistic ideals. Still, the harshness of public mockery lingered. At the same time, the industry itself was shifting. A new generation of models emerged, youthful, sharp, and coldly modern. While Karolína remained beloved, the spotlight began drifting. Major fashion houses courted the new faces, leaving her, the seasoned angel, gradually in the background. Her personal life also bore the weight of her profession. The grueling pace pushed her into emotional exhaustion. At one point, she almost disappeared from the runways altogether, prompting headlines, "Has the angel fallen?" Sparse Instagram posts showed a woman searching for balance, rather than plunging deeper into the machine that had once celebrated her. Though she never became embroiled in the wild scandals that engulfed some of her peers, Karolína's quiet withdrawal sparked debate. Some critics labeled her incapable of keeping up with the competition, but her admirers saw courage, the bravery to step away from an industry capable of devouring its own stars. Her fading presence was less a collapse than a conscious turning point. Yet for the media, it was still a shock. How could one of Victoria's Secret's reigning queens, an icon who had stood at the pinnacle, suddenly vanish from the spotlight? In truth, Karolína's story during these years is inseparable from the dark side of fashion. It revealed how a profession that exalts beauty can just as easily destroy confidence, how an industry that crowns angels can also strip away their wings. The silence that followed her retreat was not emptiness, but an echo, a reminder that even the brightest stars must sometimes dim to survive. Today, Karolína Kurková no longer dominates the runways as she once did. Instead, she devotes her time to her husband, children, and humanitarian work. Occasionally, she reappears in campaigns or at major fashion events, a subtle reminder that the angel of the early 2000s still exists, though she has chosen a different rhythm of life. What makes her a true icon is not only the dazzling wings she wore on stage, but the way she faced imperfection and pressure with unyielding strength. From a girl born without a navel in a quiet Czech town, she rose to embody perfection in the eyes of millions. More importantly, she sent a message that beauty is not about flawlessness, but about the courage to embrace oneself completely. Her legacy extends beyond the runways. It lies in her choices, her authenticity, and her willingness to step away when the cost grew too high. She showed that a supermodel's power is not measured only in magazine covers, but also in integrity, in how she inspires others to stand tall even when mocked, even when doubted. Perhaps the lingering question is this: if Karolína had started her career today, in an era that celebrates diversity and breaks traditional standards, would she still be seen as different? Or would the world welcome her immediately as a pioneer, a woman who was always ahead of her time? Either way, her story ensures that the name Karolína Kurková will never simply fade, it will echo, like the enduring legends of the 90s Supermodels themselves.